Dr. Nisha, if I can get you in. Dr. Nisha, there's of course extremes to both of this. Opinions to this is extremely polarized. But how do you look at what's happened, one in court today, but juxtapose it with whatever has happened since Nirbhaya, the gruesome cases, the absolutely horrendous crimes, and we are just naming few of them that really saw massive protests. How do you look at all of it?
Rape is a heinous crime, no doubt about it. Being a woman, I truly and personally do not even support any of the harmful effects that any women have to suffer because of that. But when I talk about castration, see, I heard many of the speakers saying that you have to do a castration, be it surgical or be it chemical castration. My question is, what is the point of even going with castration? Can that stop or prevent the increasing number of rape rates in our country, India? Point number one. And point number two is, as far as the country India is concerned, we have to take into consideration two perspectives, because the legal system is based on reformative system as well as retributive system. Reformative system talks about even a criminal could be, they would be reformed, we put in rehabilitation centers and they have a chance of coming again. Whereas retributive means punishment is better than anything. I'm not saying that you have to literally, support the accused or whatever, but rather just by doing castration, it doesn't mean that we are going to have a huge change. Rather, death penalty could be something that I prefer, or life imprisonment could be something that I literally suggest. If you see countries like South Korea and UK, South Korea went with castration, and UK went with life imprisonment, and they and they say that, okay, the so-called rape rates, the crime rates of rape has reduced. But now in a country like India, we don't follow revenge system. We follow a justice system. And taking into consideration the political perspective of our country, India, it is not possible for us to actually go with such kind of chemical castrations. For the fact that this chemical castration, having said that, in the technological era, it is even irreversible. And it doesn't mean that a person who has undergone such kind of chemical castrations cannot have any sort of feeling. As you were saying regarding the Nirbhaya case, yes, the woman was very brutally raped. No matter, we cannot even justify 0.1% what has happened to her. Of course, she was brutally raped. But then we need to understand that it was not just a rape. They were psychologically sick, that they were psychopaths where we have seen that a rod was inserted inside her and they were like totally brutally murdering her like an animal. And now, if this chemical castration is done, do you really think that we can prevent such kind of psychopath people from coming in our country, India, again? And once the castration is done, when they come out of their
Brinda Adiga, do you want to come in and respond that? How much of a deterrence to what? Brinda Adiga, do you want to respond to that? How much of a deterrence can something like a castration be, as Dr. Nisha is pointing out? Gruesome horrors and crimes, but
see, castration,
is a gruesome legal recourse a befitting and the only response? Brinda Adiga?
First and foremost, we want to look at the gruesome crimes that a rapist might have committed and commits. We also want to look at recidivism. But more than all of that, we also want to look at fixing the justice system. Now, they said that our justice system is a reformative system. Good. We need to have reformation because we believe that's what our constitution constantly tells us, that reformation and the human rights are respected and upheld. And what Mrs. Mahalakshmi is advocating is chemical castration to reduce recidivism. And this chemical castration, if at all needs to be looked at more seriously, is when you are sure, when at an interim point, that you're sure that this is the rapist. Now, by the time this rapist's final orders come, it might take a year, 5 years, 6 years. We know of several cases where rapists who have come out on bail or even parole have gone out and raped again, and some of them have also murdered and killed the victim. So what is it, that reformation that you want to look at? I still want to look at reformation, absolutely. But in these cases, you want to see control and reduce recidivism. And for that, I think chemical castration should be seen in a more scientific manner and not in so much of emotional saying it's gruesome, it's barbaric. Absolutely. This child who was raped, her breast cut was gruesome and barbaric and horrific and atrocious. In the same way, we do not want another child to become prey to this man. And I use the word man because we know it is only men who repeatedly rape and to wipe out evidence will murder that person. So we need to look at these laws that will put the fear of law into these perpetrators and rapists. And if there is a child who has been raped, then
Dr.
death
Nisha,
penalty should
Dr.
be
Nisha,
given.
30
For all
seconds. Do you
of
want to
this,
respond? Do you not want to
for all
respond?
of this,
Because
we
it's
want the justice
interesting
system.
that what Brinda Adige is saying is actually what she is claiming is from a lens of reform, which you said wasn't part of what the measures were being demanded for, but she's looking at it from a prism of reforms.
Obviously, yeah. So as she was saying, see, she's saying castration is required, but let me ask you something. Do you really think that because of this chemical castrations, will India be able to reduce the number of crime rates? And do you think our legal system, as per Article 21, permits such kind of thing? And if it is going to reduce the kind of rape rates, then it is okay. But please understand, they will turn out to be gladiators, because this chemical castration is something that is only reducing the person's ability to have an intercourse. It is even irreversible in nature. Having said the technology is available in our country, India, Ms. Brinda, at the same time, this is not a complete solution. India is among one of the top countries where rape rates or crime rates with regard to rape is high. And just by doing castration, we cannot even say that, we can prevent complete rape. Our education system, the sex awareness and education at the school level has to be uprooted deeply, because that is not there. What is happening? We can see such kind of crime. And by the way, people are not just raping a woman and they are just killing her out of that. They're enjoying it like a beast or an animal, and they're making sure that they are doing so much of activity, very heinous activity, and they have a psychological satisfaction out of it. So what do you say for that? Just by doing
Brinda
castration,
Adige?
you cannot.
Brinda
And there's a
Adige,
study in 1992
is this a call for an extreme measure out of anger and frustration of what keeps happening?
Sorry, out of? I get you.
Brinda Adige, is what Dr. Nisha is saying, or is the call for castration, as it were, that has been mooted in this petition, is it largely out of the frustration and anger?
No, I don't think it is frustration and anger alone. It is also looking at ways and means to reduce. We know that no society in the world has been able to stop and say, oh, there is no rape at all over here. What we are looking at is a comprehensive response to something called rape, especially heinous rape. One moment, madam. Heinous rape, which means we want to fix our justice system. You said our legal system doesn't allow it. So that doesn't mean that I've written it in stone and it must not be allowed. It is important for the legal system to look at how my society has developed and what is happening as a result of all of this. We can say at one point saying, I will give you education. Yes, good. We will stop pornography. Yes. That doesn't mean 20 years ago, when pornography was not so easily available, rape was not there. But today, there is no fear of punishment. There is no certainty of punishment. And there is no swift punishment. So though reformation is very important, there has to be penal action. Until and unless that fear is there, hold on. We want the system to fix itself. So you cannot be having a judge saying, I'm going to take this case for the next 20 years. Why? In this age of technology, in this age of sophistication, why are judges not able to bring about all of this in the next 9 months to 1 year? They should bring it to a conclusion.
So, Ms. Adige, are you also then saying, castration for accused, and you're not essentially arguing for castration for the convicted? Are you also saying it is for the accused?
You're asking me, Sneha?
That's right, Ms. Adige. If you're saying that the cases are going to go on for 20 years or so, and you want...
Yes, for the convicted.
All right.
I would disagree with one point of Ms. Brinda.
Let me just take in...
Chemical castration is reversible, then what is the point of doing it? And do you think we can stop the psychopaths? Do you think we can stop the gladiators?
All right, we just get to that.
So there comes your reformation.
We just get to that. Aditya Pratap, if I can get you in. Aditya Pratap, here's the point. Let's look at what happened after Nirbhaya. Let's look at what happened after the absolute horror around Nirbhaya. There were laws that were changed. So you had the definition of rape that was expanded. You had consent that was defined. You have fast-track courts that were set up. you know, there's a whole debate around it about how fast-track courts, how many of them exist around the country. But nonetheless, at least those that are existing, at least the cases that are being cleared, conviction seen is much faster than an ordinary court. The mandatory death penalty for rape offenders. So a lot has happened legally from post-Nirbhaya. Again, what you see in the petition that has come up today, and it's also important, look at the petition, what it says. It says ban on unrestricted online pornography, no bail for trial for serious crimes, but also things like CCTV cameras at all workplaces, fast-track justice for women's crimes, 24/7 helpline for immediate assistance. Now, all these, at least some of these, are already existing in paper. So the essence is it's completely failing on the ground.